Hi everyone, welcome along to this special episode of the Learning Journeys podcast brought to you by Lacuna Learning. We are at the end of an incredible 2020 and I sort of wondered whether to leave the podcast as it was for those 10 amazing first episodes or whether to do something special. And I suppose I was reflecting on the year and all that's been and all that's gone and all that may come next and so on, and just wondered if it would be amazing to hear from our podcast guests what their biggest learning had been for 2020. And so I've asked them that very question. What was your biggest learning in 2020? What are you leaving with? What are you taking away? What was your most significant learning event of the year? And they've all come back with 10 absolutely amazing things to share. So I'm going to share them with you now. I'm going to join you at the end. I really hope you find it interesting. Thank you all so much for listening to what really was a bit of a pilot, bit of an experiment to see if people really liked what we were doing. And so I just really hope you enjoy what we've come up with, and I look forward to chatting to you all at the end.
Season's greetings, everyone. My name is Bob Eason. I am a former teacher, rugby coach and high performance manager. My retirement affords me the opportunity to indulge myself in my passions of mentoring and developing coaches. I've learned many things this year, and the more I learn what I don't know. Every day is a school day. I've learned that the best way to learn for me is sharing a beer with a couple of like-minded mates, discussing the merits of non-linear pedagogy, what is effective coaching, or the nuances of coaching bullfighting. Aye, bullfighting. My mother used to tell me it is never too late to learn. She was right. I learned to bake a fruit loaf this year. Merry Christmas all.
2020, what a year. If I was to take one thing into 2021, I think it would be the power of the pause button. Now, I know everybody didn't get a choice to slow down and to press pause, but what I have seen from that, both in myself and others this year, is the power of connectivity and creativity that's come from slowing down. People have had a chance to check in with their why they're doing what they do. People have had a chance to connect with others and bring the world closer together through sharing and connection and new ideas. People have set up new companies or found creative ways to connect with their athletes on Zoom. So for me, it's pressing pause, checking in with my mental health and well-being, where I'm at, where others are at, and really getting a chance to look in that time that I've slowed down at what's next.
Hi, this is Colin Kelly from Comsteria. What a year it's been. I guess the biggest things that I've learned this year, first of all, how quickly I put on weight when the gyms are closed. But from a personal development point of view, rather than a health and fitness point of view, I guess the main thing I've learned is that even when you're going through a really tough time personally, even when everyone around you is losing their heads, even when there's a huge amount of uncertainty and maybe fear, about what's going to happen next, even within these moments, if you approach it the correct way, it's still perfectly possible to learn and grow and develop. Learn things about yourself, take time to self-reflect and I guess think about how you approach situations and how you handle things. I'm not saying I get it right all the time, but certainly this year has made me much more aware of, the differences. If you approach it the right way, the outcome that you get, and equally where it takes you if you approach it the wrong way. So tough lessons to learn, but valuable just the same. And let's hope 2021's a little bit easier for all of us. Take care, all the best.
Hi, I'm Liz Birkinshaw. I love a bit of learning and people development. This year, one of the great fun things that I've learnt has been how to use Google Jamboard. I love it when I'm facilitating sessions online, and I find it a really cool way to help everyone on the call to share their views, their ideas, their opinions. So it's a great little inclusive thing. That's one of my best learning things from 2020.
Hey, I'm Alex Dannon. You might listen to me on the podcast with Doug McDonald, talking all things cross-country skiing and about going from trying to be an athlete to trying to be a coach. And Doug just asked us to reflect on an extraordinary year we've just had and any key takeaways for ourselves. And for me personally, two main things are certainly miss the buzz of the face-to-face coaching with athletes and support staff, and that real sense of seeing people improve in front of your eyes. Definitely get a buzz from that, and really missed that over the summer. And secondly, that I really missed being outside, and I've actually moved house to make the most of being outside. So as you can see, decided to go for a cycle this afternoon. So definitely going to be trying to make the most of those in 2021.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Monaghan. I'm currently living and working in Hong Kong, working at a rugby club called Hong Kong Scottish as a general manager there. So I'm here to share my reflections on my biggest learning from 2020 and what a year it's been. So firstly, the big thing for me is about being agile and adaptable. No matter how thoroughly you plan or prepare, some things are just totally out of your control. And this can apply to your work life or your personal life. Don't get upset or frustrated. Just adapt and get creative and look for new opportunities. The second big thing for me is try and be funny or have fun. So always look on the brighter side of life and add humour to others. I think this is what has got most of us through this year, to be honest. Just have banter with your colleagues. Don't be the misery guts that everyone dreads to Zoom. Aim to be the person that everyone looks forward to working with or chatting with, and it will pay off. You'll be more productive, but most importantly, you'll have more fun along the way. So these have been the biggest learnings for me, and hopefully will carry through into 2021. Merry Christmas!
Hello everybody in Lacuna Learning Land. My name is Alan Lynn. I'm the national coach for Scottish Swimming, and being a good friend and colleague of Doug McDonald's for a number of years now. I think I was second up on the Learning Journeys podcast, and enjoyed talking to Doug about some of the things that helped and shaped me get to this point in my life. 2020 has obviously been unprecedented, and like many people, has taught me many lessons, not least of which is that looking after ourselves and looking after others is very much a priority, never mind any other things we think are important in life. The other thing it's taught me, I think, is the value of friendships and the connections that were able to be made around the world, both personally and professionally, reconnections in many cases. So a message to you at the end of 2020 is look after yourself, look after each other, and be careful, be safe, be healthy, and above all else, wish everyone a very happy and prosperous 2021. Bye-bye.
Hi there, it's Jo Hopkins. Doug's asked me to do a bit of reflecting on 2020 and interesting moments. I guess the big reflection for me for this year has been just really clarifying how important relationships are, even in the work world. So for me, those strong, authentic, genuine relationships have really got me through work in 2020, through the pandemic. I think it has just reinforced me how important it is to build genuine relationships, and that there is give and take in all relationships, and that it's about really just being yourself in that. And you know, I've just been really overwhelmed by the support I've had from people, and that has just reminded me that that's what it's all about. It's about helping each other. That's the profession we're in, and it is a vocation rather than a job, and it's a real privilege to do it. So it's just brought that into focus. So Happy New Year, everybody, and Merry Christmas.
Morning, Doug. It's the 20th of December, so just before Christmas. Yeah, I'm reflecting on the year that has been 2020, and I'm trying to think of the best moments for me, or the best theme, or the most pertinent, if you like, episode to come out of the year. There's been a lot, hasn't there? So where I am with my reflections is an idea of trusting the struggle. So it's not one thing that jumps out at me. It's a theme, and that's in no way a negative idea of that word struggle. It's about transformation and change, and how that feels throughout everything in your life. This year has been a year where I've really realised that I'm extremely holistic in the way I see life and experience life. So struggle goes through everything if it's in one part and transforms everything in a good way. So I'm gonna leave you with that thought. Trust your struggle. And I'm going to send you a little graffiti artist's interpretation of that as well, that we saw on a wall somewhere. But yeah, hope you're well. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everyone, and trust your struggle.
When I was a student doing my degree, one of my lecturers drew that on the wall. That's a weight machine, apparently. I knew then that I could contribute a lot more imagination, creativity to my coaching. Being part of Doug's podcast has made me reflect upon some of the interesting things I've done, some of the crazy ideas I've had, but most of them seem to have stuck. But my biggest learning for 2020, same as students being online, me teaching online, I'd say, how can we get close to understand someone's experience? Not just in online teaching, but actually in coaching. The closer we can get to experience those we coach, the better coaches we are, because we have an understanding of their experience, their challenges, their success, their interest, and whether the tasks we give them are appropriate. So that's been my biggest learning for me. We can take away the weight machine. I realised a long time ago that there had to be something better than that. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for listening. There were 10 amazing guests and they did not disappoint in terms of what they produced in terms of their reflections on 2020. So I really hope you enjoyed them. I had great fun doing the podcast. I also had great fun listening to, I guess, what they were leaving 2020 with, what they were taking forward, and what some of their biggest learning had been. So I hope you found it really interesting. It was a new format of podcast. It was a kind of end of season 1, end of 2020, pre-Christmas kind of special. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting. It would, of course, only be fitting for me to share perhaps some of what I'm leaving with from 2020 as well. And I suppose I leave with a number of things, and I love that we had people sharing some real hard skills. Liz Birkinshaw sharing the technical skill of Jamboarding, and I suppose I'm leaving with some technical skills around podcasting and video editing and all sorts of things that I maybe didn't have going into 2020, and I'm really grateful to have had those opportunities to explore that. I suppose from a very much a lockdown point of view, this idea of wide open spaces that kind of sits with me now as well, that how important that is for me as a person in terms of being in the outdoors. And the majority of my work is spent outdoors, often getting very cold and wet, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So I suppose that sits with me, but also more metaphorically, this idea of wide open spaces. It is also a wonderful song by the Chicks, a song I discovered this year. Kind of this idea of having those spaces to make our mistakes and to learn from them. I suppose that sits with me. And I guess the biggest thing in terms of 2020, in terms of the kind of year that it's been, is this idea of holding space with people. It's really tempting when things are really bad, and they have been really bad for a lot of people this year, if not all of us, that we want to kind of silver lining things. We want to kind of make them all better. And in fact, that's not really what empathy is about. Empathy is kind of me too. I get that, and I connect with a part of me that knows that feeling. So the amazing power when people have done this for me, when I've done it for other people, I hope that we hold a space, we create a space for them to just be. We can be weary and we can be connected in weariness. We don't have to always be feeling amazing and thinking the world's fantastic. So just that idea of holding space and really kind of living with that idea right now, and that's kind of one of the big things I leave, is how do we create spaces for people just to be, and for things to be a bit rubbish if they need to be a bit rubbish, and for things to be amazing if they are also amazing. So those are some of my big learnings. Obviously, from a podcast point of view, I'm incredibly grateful to a number of people that have supported me throughout this little experiment, this little journey. My first 10 guests, you were fantastic. Thank you for humouring me while I learned the mechanics of some of this process. So thank you very, very much to all of you, and for giving me at least a minute of your time pre-Christmas when it's all been really busy. So thank you very, very much, all of you, for doing that. Most importantly, though, thank you to everyone who's listened. If you've listened throughout the series, thank you for humouring us as we worked our way through it. If you're listening for the first time, check out some of those earlier podcasts. There are some incredible people with some just stories you want to hear and listen to. So I really recommend you do that. Hit subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on future things. There will be a season 2. It will look similar in some ways in that we will still be having guests along and listening to them. But I also got some really nice feedback from people saying it'd be nice to hear a bit more, perhaps, of my own reflections on that. So I'm also going to try and share maybe some shorter podcasts with some of my own reflections on some of the things people have shared, or just things that are going on for me right now that people were kind of keen to hear about and learn about. So it'll be more of the same, but with some other stuff thrown in, I guess, is my long-winded way of describing what we're hoping to do. So everybody, most importantly, please take care of yourselves. I wish you a very restful Christmas, New Year period. I very much look forward to catching up with you all in the new year. So thanks very much for your engagement. And please everybody stay safe as we go through this next tricky period. If you've got any reflections on the things people shared over the last 10, 15 minutes or so, please share it on Twitter, on Instagram, or wherever you happen to have picked up the podcast. And thanks very much. Look forward to catching up with you all very, very soon.